Now it's our turn to, sorry for the words, but put our balls on the table.
Remember, kids, this is not how you play hockey. It's just ugly.
I like it.
Screw you guys. I'm going now.
You know what? I love ice cream too.
Go back to Canada, Guy Lafleur.
Game on!
Yeah, game on!
Hello and welcome into another edition of the Hockey Show. Ryan Bolding flying solo in the studio here with Danny Bailey behind the glass at the Mile High Sports Studio, and we've got my good friend Adrian Dater on the line. Adrian, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well, Ryan. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining me. Adrian, you're kind of the bet master, and we start this show off every week with a little bit of matinee money segment. So I've got some lines that I picked, but I kind of want to hear what your picks are for the day. We got 13 games today. What do you got?
Well, I'll tell you one team I got. It's St. Louis Blues money line over Toronto. I think this is a very good value. I got locked in at plus 165 on the money line for this game. I know Toronto's, good team and all, but they're coming off a loss to Arizona. They lose to the Avs after blowing a 4-1 lead. They barely beat Vegas in Vegas. St. Louis is 7-2-1 in the last 10. They're very tough at home, especially on weekend nights when the people from Missouri come down for the weekend. They often do that, spend a night or two down in the city, make a weekend of it. They're a very festive crowd there on weekend nights in St. Louis. So I like the Blues big time tonight. That's one game I got, that's for sure.
I didn't make it that far down the list. I was so focused on other stuff. I should jump in and grab that. I think I made too many bets today, but one I picked is going right now is Nashville and Boston. It was kind of a tough choice for me originally. I was going back and forth, but I went plus 214 for the Boston money line and the over 5.5 goals.
That's looking good. I think it's 2-1 Bruins right at the moment. So, yeah, good pick. I got to do more parlays. I know that's better value, and I don't know why I don't do more of them. Every time I do a parlay, it seems like I win them. So I'm still learning the betting game. I didn't make my first bet till 2020. So I'm still learning, but it's catching on. I make some picks every day for a site called bookies.com. Thank you for that plug. And so I got my free picks up for tonight. I also, I like the Kings over the Kraken tonight. Visiting the Kraken, I think I got the Kings at plus 120 or so, or I'm sorry, minus 120. They're a slight favorite over the Kraken. I think Grubauer's in net tonight, but yeah, I think that's another decent value play. Kings have looked awfully good lately. I think they've won 4 in a row and playing tough hockey. The Kraken look like they're just kind of, almost starting to play out the string in some ways. I know Dave Haxtell wants to win every game and all, but they just don't have the talent.
It's been surprising to me just how much the Kraken have been struggling. I saw Greg Wyshynski, a good fan of the show, did a analysis of the over that's been occurring in the NHL right now, and he said the Kraken are one team that is constantly on the over, and I don't think it's as much a result of their goal scoring as it is their goaltending.
Right, I know it's Phillip Gruber. Let's admit it here. He's looking like a bust, man. And, some of us who thought that, let Gruby go and bring in the next guy, for us as Kemper here in Denver, looking pretty good on that pick right now. Now, I know Gruby can get hot, and I do think he's, a good goalie, but he was never worth that kind of money. I mean, relatively speaking, it's $6 million a year in the NHL now. Isn't huge money for a lot of position players, especially goalies. Binnington getting his deal is kind of what set the bar for a lot of goalies. Even though Binnington did win a Stanley Cup, that's something that Grubauer has not done. Although he did win one He did win one as a Capital, although he did not play at all to get him any wins in the playoffs. He lost 2 games, the first 2 of that playoff run. I know the over has been hitting a lot lately for a lot of teams, especially the Avalanche. I think it's 72% for the Avs on the over in their last bunch of games too.
Yeah, as of January 10th, Greg Wyshynski said the Avs had hit over 72.6% of the time. I have noticed that the over has increased for the Avalanche to usually 6.5 these days. But even so,
Yep.
I mean, we had Friday night we had 2 games with 7 goals scored by one team, and then the Avs go in and win 4-3 in the shootout. So that's another 7-goal game.
Yep. And we got another one last night with the shootout. Well, I mean, the Avs have scored 7 goals by themselves, 7 times this year?
Yeah, they were leading the league.
Yeah. I mean, remember we used to worry about the depth losses of Donskoy and Saad? Those days seem quaint now.
Right before we transitioned to that, I actually picked a single game parlay under. I picked Carolina's money line and under 6 goals in that game. It's 1-1 at intermission, so I'm hoping that stays low. You know, those 2 teams, I like what Bruce Boudreau does. He likes to play it tight a little bit, so that could stay under. And then I also picked the puck line for Washington over the Islanders. It was plus 175, so how could you not?
Well, yeah, I don't know about that one. I like the Islanders are starting to get things together, and Barry Trotz, when he gets things going, he's tough. So I may fade you on that one, but yeah, I like your picks overall. Otherwise, and I didn't go near the Avs Coyotes game tonight. The value is just not there either way, especially after last night's sort of scare fest. I don't want to really touch that. I think their Avs are minus 410 tonight on the road. Just not value there.
Yep, I actually went at the start of the end of the second before the start of the third, and I threw $5 on the Coyotes last night because it looked like they had a pretty decent chance, and the odds were like 240 or something. But one pick that this is my sleeper pick that I got in on yesterday was the over on 3.5 shots on goal for Nazem Kadri. Kadri's got, I think, 5 games with 5 shots on goal now. The odds were plus 120 last night. Easy money. He had 3 shots in the first period, finished with 5. I did it again tonight.
That's a good bet. I like that. I need to do more of those bets too. I mean, some of those prop bets are literally, if you do your homework, it's like stealing, right? Yeah, you're right. Especially shots on goal for certain players. Good bet there. I like your odds there, Ryan.
Well, and speaking of Kadri, you said losing Donskoy and Saad we thought was going to hurt the team, but I don't think anybody predicted the kind of season that Nazem Kadri was going to have.
Well, no, but I did say I'll pat myself on the back a little bit here, which I know I never do that, by the way. But once every lifetime I got to do it. Over the summer, I predicted Cads would have a good year. I didn't say this kind of year, but I thought he would definitely come in with a chip on his shoulder, not only for the suspension that he wanted to prove people and get on their good side again and prove them wrong, but he's in a contract year. And oh, by the way, isn't that funny how that happens? Great. Players have great years in their contract year before they can go UFA. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, I thought that the odds were always good that he was going to have a good year, but I didn't think it was going to be like this.
When he was held off the score sheet for the first time in an eternity last game in regulation and overtime. But do you think he gets enough respect these days? Is his reputation as kind of the hothead, takes a penalty at the bad time kind of guy hurting him as far as respect goes or recognition?
Oh, sure it does. I mean, he gets burned. He gets roasted on social media all the time for come playoff time for what he's done, and probably rightly so. He's been suspended 3 times in the playoffs for multiple games. So. Yeah, I mean, of course it hurts his reputation, and but he's done all he can to silence those critics. He's having a hell of a year, and yeah, lack of respect. I mean, he's still not named to the All-Star team. I don't know what the voting is going to be like for the last man in. It seems like he'd have a good shot. He's got a good social media groundswell going for him to get in, but you never know on that. I mean, sometimes some weird fan bases can surprise you sometimes. Like Troy Terry might just get in from Anaheim because they've got nothing to do more in Anaheim than vote for that. I mean, they're they're having a better year than people thought, I guess, in Anaheim. But, yeah, no, Kadri's, still got to fight for respect, but he's getting it back.
He was 4th in the league in scoring. I don't know how that doesn't get you a berth. I get that Nathan MacKinnon was voted in as a captain, but that's the kind of the one that's a head scratcher for me. That Kadri or MacKinnon, you had to pick between the two of them. I get the superstar angle of Nathan MacKinnon, but I mean Kadri is up against Ryan Hartman, who's having an unbelievable year with the Wild. Seth Jones, I don't really see that happening. Roman Josi, Phil Kessel. I mean, Jason Robertson is having a year in Dallas, and then Scheifele and Robert Thomas. I mean, it's not like it's going to necessarily be an easy vote. I would say it probably comes down to Josi, Kadri, or Robertson.
Oh, and I thought Troy Terry was in that mix too, but maybe I'm misunderstanding something on that one.
Terry's in the
sounds like
Pacific Division voting, and that one's going to be tight too. You got
Of
Matthew
course, yeah,
Tkachuk,
I'm
Drew Doughty.
confusing my divisions there. Well, I only get. First of all, I don't care about the NHL All-Star Game. I've covered several of them, and they're probably the worst sporting events I've ever seen in my life. Just saying matter-of-factly, it's just not real hockey. I think the 3-on-3 format with the 4 division team round-robin tournament added some spice to it. But that said, there's still no checking or hitting, and I don't get excited either way on it. I know players can get bonuses and stuff for All-Star games, but I'm not going to go start crying for them, Argentina, that they missed out on a $50,000 bonus or something. But the format makes it so that you can't pick as many guys, and I think it's fair that one player goes from each team. This is not a game that's built for just who gets, you don't go down the stat sheet. He needs, based on his stats. This is a game for younger fans and for sponsors. And they like to see their own guys in the game. That's always been true. I think people need to take a little bit of a breath on that. And if Tad gets in on the vote, then that's great. Maybe that's how it should be because he got voted in legitimately by the fans. I think that would make it even more so. And probably an award he'd like better than being named by some coach.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. I also think, the All-Star Game is a bit of a self-congratulatory affair. It's a bit of the pat on the back. Look what we're capable of. I still greatly enjoy the skills competition, and I would love to see more of that and more players in that. I know, they drag it out and make it as long as they can, and so they got to limit players and that kind of thing. But I really want to see a lot of those things, like I live for the McKinnon, McDavid skate off and those kinds of things. I want to see some real talent. And then the game, you take it or leave it. Like you said, it's for younger fans, it's for kids, it's for, league visibility. It's for sponsors, fulfill those sponsor obligations, that kind of thing. It's fine. I do think that, Kadri not getting in off the list is a sign of disrespect. And this is, like I said, this is a guy, he's 2 points away from having 50 points in 32 or fewer games. Like he is playing an unbelievable pace this year. He's playing an unbelievable game. He's very, very impressive, I think, this year.
Yeah, and then people don't even talk about his defensive game of faceoffs, which has been excellent. So, all-around player. He'd probably be in my, if not top 5, definitely top 10 in the Hart Trophy voting if it ended right now, for sure.
I said that earlier. I actually put that on Twitter. If you had to pick between MacKinnon and Kadri for your Hart vote from the Avalanche, I would gotta say Kadri at this point.
Oh, I'd say I'd say a couple other guys before MacKinnon on this team. I mean, Rantanen, to me, has had a better year than MacKinnon, and of course, Cale Makar should be voted Hart Trophy over MacKinnon, too.
Makar should probably just win all of them.
Yeah.
You could give him the Vezina, too, the way he's been playing.
Yeah. It's going great guns for the Avs right now, but, well, maybe we'll talk later more about Kemper, but yeah, we're still waiting for the Kemper to be an All-Star. That's for sure.
Yep, we'll talk more about the Avs coming up after the break. This is the Hockey Show on Mile High Sports Radio. Ryan Bolden and Danny Bailey in the studio. Adrian Dater remote. We'll be right back.
Right now, it's 16 minutes past the big hour. Is that not right, Mr. Scream? Great, good stuff. I think people are getting really cranked.
We got a special pregame show of the Hockey Show here on Mile High Sports Radio. Ryan Bolding and Danny Bailey here. Adrian Dater on the remote. Adrian, I don't know if you know this, but Avalanche Invasion was canceled, but David Pachovsky's coming out himself anyway. The man has gone through 10 flights. He's flying to Phoenix for an Avalanche game tonight. Can you believe the commitment from this kid?
Isn't that a great story? Did you notice those Twitter pictures yesterday of his? They were awesome. It was like he was in Frankfurt or something 10 hours earlier. Then he's standing in front of the Pepsi Center with a sign, or Pepsi Center, Paul Arena with a sign. Great. He is literally one of the all-time biggest Avs fans and boosters there has ever walked the planet. I actually wrote the forward to his book that he put out about the Avalanche and the history of it all. And he's a good kid. It is sad that he doesn't have his whole crew with him. That is quite a posse that he's had. But David Puchansky is the goods when it comes to Avalanche fandom.
I definitely think he's got to be the biggest Avalanche fan. I don't know that anyone else can claim the financial contributions that he makes just to support this team and his effort.
Yeah. There used to be a woman named Cookie who'd show up on every single Avalanche practice, every single one, and she'd literally give cookies to the players. That's why she got her nickname. But I haven't seen Cookie around for a while, so hope you're out there doing well, Cookie. But, David Puchansky is the man.
We might have to see if we could get David out here on the show maybe next week. We'll get into the Avs this segment, Adrian, but first, I got to talk about it. The too many men call in overtime against Nashville, and I may have the hot take that nobody wants to hear, but I immediately... I just couldn't understand why we kept seeing the same replay over and over when obviously whatever was occurring was happening to the left of what we kept seeing. Did you feel like it was a bad call at the time, and have you since changed your mind now that we've seen another angle?
I did think it was a bad call at the time, and I haven't really changed my opinion too much, although, that other angle did show Rantanen coming on a little early probably and playing the puck. But because of that, but come on, the refs never make that call otherwise, especially a 3-on-3 in overtime. I mean, let them play. I thought it was just it's like giving a guy a jaywalking ticket in midnight or something when there's no cars coming. I mean, come on. I didn't like it. I still don't like it. I thought it was a bad call, and Nashville got a gift win there, a gift extra point.
I thought Nashville earned it, but I was called a negative Nancy for literally only saying I didn't care whether he was called offside or too many men or not, but just saying I could see how it was possible from the situation unfolding, right? You had this situation where everybody is looking at McKinnon-Rantanen, but we needed this other angle, and my first question is, what the heck is Nathan MacKinnon doing way out at the other end of the ice when the puck is in his zone? Because that play is developing. Nashville, it ends up going behind the net. I think Kadri sends it behind the net. Kadri sends it behind the net. Taves has to go and chip it up the boards or fight for a 50-50 puck, right? All that's occurring, and MacKinnon is, not even on his side of the red line. So I'm curious what's going on there, but I think Rantanen jumped early, and, possession and play is still happening in the zone. We're not seeing at the same time where MacKinnon is, where Rantanen is when the puck is being played. So I don't think it's that Rantanen played the puck. I think it's that he was on the ice, MacKinnon was pretty far away from the bench, and two other guys were still out in the Avs zone.
Yeah, if this were a courtroom, the referee probably could win it because, by the books, by the rule of law, he was coming off a little early, but come on, everybody comes off a little early. You could make that call 50 times a game. The 5 feet rule. Does everybody have a tape measure out there all of a sudden? Come on. It was a ticky-tack call. And yet, you're right. All the Avs had to do was make a save. Kemper couldn't make a save all night, and I think Duchesne earned that goal, but put Nashville on the power play and overtime, and they'd just gotten another one previously too. Probably more legitimate too many men, but I mean, come on, you got to have a little bit of tact to you in a way as a referee, and not just make every single call by the inch. So I'll stand by it. I think it was a bad call, but I do see how they can justify it if they want to. Everybody will still think they're being ridiculous, I think, in the court of common sense.
I feel like it's one of those calls where it's so close that if it had happened against Nashville, everybody would have been like, "Oh, yep, cool." But since it happened against the Avs, it's a bad call.
Course.
So it's one of those where it's so close, it's 50-50. Let's jump into the goaltending, though. I mean, we talked about it at the start of the show. You just mentioned that Kemper couldn't really make a save all night. I don't know that he's necessarily been, Grubauer-esque with this team in front of him so far this season. Is this a situation where maybe you can't rely on him and Francouz as much as you want? And you talked about on your podcast, you talked about on your website, maybe this team takes a look at Marc-Andre Fleury or someone.
I mean, yeah, they're going to probably have to think about it a little more. The question is, how hard is it going to be to engineer a trade to get one of those guys, and what are you going to have to give up, and is that going to hurt your other areas of your team? This is something Joe Sakic definitely probably did not want to have to consider when he got Kemper and gave up a very good prospect in Connor Timmins. What was it, a first and a second? I can't remember all the details of the deal. I think it was, but it was a lot. And now he's got to be faced with, do we need to get somebody else in here? That's not a good situation. This is a tempest in a teapot coming around here. It could blow up even further. I mean, this is not good when you've got, I think the Avs are in the high 20s in the league in overall save percentage and goals against. That shouldn't be happening, especially with that defense in front of them. That's pretty well limited their chances. I think the opposition for, very well. It's a little baffling to me why Kemper hasn't been better. I really thought he was going to have a great year. In fact, I thought he might win a Vezina this year. Not looking good on that pick. He was there about 915 save percentages there for a while, 916. Now it's down to 904. Hopefully he can get that up again, because if he doesn't, the rumors are only going to get louder as the deadline gets closer.
I'm looking at this quickly, but Money Puck has NHL goaltending leaders, and I'm searching by goals saved above expected. And Darcy Kemper's at a -2 right now. His expected goals against was a 61.96 as of today. He's at 64 goals allowed. I mean, Pavel Francouz has only played 4 games, and he's doing much better at a -0.8. But yeah, like you said, I mean, the defense in front of this team, the offense in front of this team, the system in front of this goalie should be enough to make a guy look good. And sometimes these guys don't.
I don't know if he's not confident right now or something, or the pressure's getting to him. I do remember talking to some people before he came here. They said, well, he doesn't quite have the mental toughness to be a championship goalie. I do definitely remember hearing that from some people that I respect in this business. But I thought, well, he's going to go to a much better team now, and that he's going to be, and he has. He's got a great 1-loss record. I do think people need to take a bit of a breath here and just say, look, maybe he's having a rough couple weeks, but he's played adequately for the most part. He always gives up 2 or 3 goals. The Avs don't have a single shutout on the year, which is surprising. But he's won the games. He has made some big saves at times. Right now, it feels like he's fighting the puck, and the puck is winning. He's going down early, I noticed, on some shots, especially remember that game winner by Duchesne? He just sort of flopped on his face right away. I don't like that look at all. He's going down too quick. It feels like he's off balance a little bit at times. Side to side, he's been just kind of little slow at times. So, yeah, it's a worry. It's a worry. And then Frankie's winning some games, but let's face it, he's not looking like George Vezina either in the net. Gives up a softy shorty last night for one goal, and he gave up a pretty bad short side goal, I thought. The Coyotes' third goal had tied it up, long range, short side. So Kemps gets the start tonight. He'll get his old team. Maybe he goes out there and puts a donut on them. Of course, if he does, they'll say, well, I didn't play at a good team anyway, so it doesn't count.
Yeah, I mean, Arizona has been suffering their COVID outbreak lately, and it's like a partially AHL team here. But even with all the things that don't seem to be going right as far as goaltending, the Avs have won 13 straight at home. They're 14-0-1 in their last 15. They're 6-0-1 on the road. They're coming off that loss to Nashville in Nashville, but otherwise, things have been going well for this team too.
Very well. I mean, and let me ask you this, Ryan. Do you really think Marc-Andre Fleury just automatically an instant upgrade in a sense? I mean, let's look at some facts here. He's 37. He hasn't been all that great for Chicago this year. Granted, they're not a very good team, but chicken or the egg, what comes first? And he didn't even play in his Game 7 of his own team last year in the playoffs in the third round.
Which was a terrible
play.
Coaching decision, I think.
Well, it probably was, maybe, but yeah, they lost the game. But he had some shaky moments too in the playoffs previously, including a couple of games against the Avs. So I do wonder. I just wanted to get your opinion on Marc-Andre Fleury. Big name, yes, but is he really going to be a better upgrade over Darcy?
I think he's been playing much better, as Chicago has been, since the coaching change. I don't think he's having necessarily a terrible year. I mean, he's 12-11. He's given up 69 goals. He's got 2 shutouts. I think, it's tricky. I go over this all the time, and the debate is kind of, do you want, a more conventional formulaic systems goalie, or do you want somebody who is capable of throwing the book out when they need to and making the desperate save? I think we saw a lot of Fleury doing too much in that series against the Avalanche last year. He obviously, mishandled some pucks. He misplayed some pucks. That Brendan Saad shot from the blue line that goes in, comes to mind. He can be scrambly, and that's where you wonder, is it a detriment when a guy overplays, or, is it something you want where they're able to kind of throw the formula away and make the save that you need? And I do feel like he's a very capable goalie. I mean, if you had Kemper and Fleury with Francouz as a number 3, I think you're feeling really good about your goaltending.
Well, yeah, and that's the other thing. Players feed off the confidence they get from the goalie, and I think that if Fleury came on this team, you're going to have an Avalanche team in front of him that all of a sudden feels like, we've got Fleury. They're just going to feel better. They're going to be more confident feeling because he's won 3 cups. Now, granted, he was not the starting goaltender on 2 of those 3 cup teams that he won. Matt Murray won those cups, those last 2 with Pittsburgh. He won the one in 2009 for Pittsburgh where he made that brilliant save on Nick Lidstrom at the buzzer. And former Av Max Talbot scored the only 2 goals in the game, which what were the odds of that? But yeah, I think that the Avs would say, we got our premier goalie. Now we can go win a cup. Maybe they're going to say that, that's what they're going to think, but they're still going to have, Fleury's going to have to go out and prove it on the ice. And, let's face it, he has not won a cup as a Stanley Cup starting goalie since 2009. That's 12 years ago now. That's nitpicking here. He's gone to the finals with other teams. He's an excellent goalie. But, 911 save percentage, that's his number right now. 2.84 goals against. Not too far from Kemper. And, he's 37. So, I don't know. I would love to see Fleury on this team if they can make it work somehow and they don't have to give up the farm to get him. But that's still a long way from, happening, it feels like to me. There was a rumor, I think Joe Sakic was in Chicago a week or so ago for some reason. I never asked Joe about it. He wouldn't tell me probably anyway. But I did read that Joe was in Chicago doing a little scouting maybe.
Maybe he's just going to Giordano's, Lou Malnati's. That'll do it for the first half.
Pie.
Yeah, that'll do it for the first half of the hockey show. While we go to break, I'll leave everybody to ponder what it is about Colorado and not being able to find a consistent quarterback or goaltender for the sports teams. The Hockey Show. We'll be back.
Let's go, Colorado!
I love me some AFI on the show, Danny. Good pick. Good pick. We're back.
I aim to please.
This is the Hockey Show on Mile High Sports Radio. Danny Bailey, expert producer behind the glass. Ryan Bolden here in studio. Adrian Dater remote. Adrian, we're going to move on to something else, but before we do, is the PK getting better? Are the Avalanche, is that something that will just never be fixed?
I mean, PK is such a hard thing to analyze, streaky thing usually, but the Avs have been at the bottom of the league for most of the season. You know, I've been harping on this for years. They drive me crazy with some of the old Avs teams would drive me absolutely bananas with the lack of clearing. There'd be so many times where a guy would have the puck right on his stick, no pressure at all. Just clear the puck out of the zone, and they put it right to the opposing point man, like 8 out of 10 times. That said, this year, I think it'll get better. They got too many good D-men I think it'll be better when they've had that more lately with Makar and Taves out there. You know, better D-men lead to better PKs. Now, that might sacrifice a minute or two of their freshness on the other end, but, you know, they got to get that better. You can't give up 1 or 2 PP goals a game. Of course, the goaltending is a lot of penalty killing too. Better goalies you have, better PK numbers you have. So that's part of the problem. I like a high pressure PK. I don't care if you give up a little scrambly and give up a shot here or there. I like high pressure PK systems, and it seems like the Avs always want to sit back and let people get it around. I don't like that. I put pressure. And if a guy's open for another shot, that's okay. Goalies like open shots to see. They like unobstructed shots. Ask Patrick Waugh about that. So if you're asking me whether it'll get better or not, I have no clue, but I think it should based on the personnel they have.
I mean, it can't get much worse, so they got room to improve. That's for sure. So the other big news of the week, we in the United States of America have our Olympic roster. The USA Hockey 2022 Winter Olympic men's hockey roster was revealed. Couple connections to Denver. What do you think? There's 15 NCAA players on it. Is it a promotion for college hockey? Is it a promotion for NHL prospects? Do you think this team stands a chance against the rosters we don't even know yet?
No on all questions. I'm sorry to be a cynic on this, but I don't think anybody's going to care about the Olympics, the USA hockey team in Beijing. It's going to be on at terrible hours. Nobody's going to watch it. Nobody cares about, a bunch of college guys playing a bunch of other. I mean, some of them are pros that are playing overseas, like Nick Shore, who's from Denver. That's great. Hats off, but and no, I don't think they can beat the Russians, who are going to have a fully stocked KHL roster. On that, I'd say put all your money on Russia for this tournament, and otherwise, I don't think anybody cares. And I'm sorry to say that because I do care about USA hockey. My father filmed the 1980 Russia-USA game in Lake Placid, so I mean, I have a lot of just admiration and love that whole thing. But, today's Olympic atmosphere is much more money-based and corporate. And I'm not an Olympic guy anymore, probably because of that. I like the old amateur system. I like to go back to the Greeks, pure amateur. Now it's just a money grab and it's another tournament for most of these guys. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to be negative Nancy here on this, but no.
I mean, I'm on record of saying the Olympics shouldn't even be there, but man, that was a downer rant from you. Should we just leave it dead air until the next break and just take it as that?
I mean, I'll be proven right, I bet, by the numbers. I'd love to see the ratings on this. I mean, I think the silent majority is probably with me on this one. I know it's a little negative, and I hope the boys win. It's USA, but I don't think they will. I mean, Russia's going to have a pro team, basically, and they're going to have a lot of good players. So is Sweden. So is Finland. So the U.S. is going to have a bunch of guys who, may make the NHL and play well, that's for sure. But, yeah.
So you're saying it's an underdog team of young, inexperienced amateur hockey players going up against the world's best.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. That can't happen, right? You can't win.
This is the youngest team since 1994 at 25.1 years old. And for Colorado fans who are looking for a rooting interest in the U.S. of A., we've got Nick Shore, homegrown talent, played at the University of Denver. We've got Avs prospect Drew Hellison getting a shot on the national stage. You got former, was it Lake Erie Monsters, or was it before that, head coach David Quinn coaching. You've got former Avalanche Scott Young as an assistant coach. You've got former Pioneers assistant David Lassonde as a goalie coach.
Yeah, I mean, that's all great. I wish these guys well. I love the fact that Ducky is assistant coach. That's great. I know he loves USA hockey, and hopefully that gives him a boost the rest of his other hockey coaching career. The loss of the NHL players took all the luster off this tournament. Let's face it. It's nice that they've got a new group of guys, and I'm sure they're going to play their butts off for this country. But I just don't see this being something that the average American is going to care about at all. And that was the point of the Olympics, is to build the sport better with the NHL participation and make it more fun and more just the best on the best. But it's not that way now. It's a bunch of guys who are going to get called out of their college seasons to go over Beijing and play in the middle of the night when nobody's going to be watching.
Let me talk to you about something else that no average hockey fan is really going to care about. For whatever reason, these hockey games are going to be played on a rink that is shorter than an NHL rink and slightly wider. And my question to you is, why the heck can't we just decide on a standard? Why does there have to be now 3 different rink sizes when it comes to hockey? Why does there have to be a larger rink internationally, a wider rink internationally? We get this narrow rink that everybody's used to in North America, and now China is just going to do whatever they want for who knows what reason.
I think they're trying to compromise as best they can, right? They're trying to compromise to the North American crowd, and they're trying to compromise the European crowd who used to big rinks. So if you're asking me to figure out what the government of China does, you're asking the wrong guy, because I don't understand anything about that country really. But I do know that, that's a weird looking rink, and it's probably going to be hard for guys to adjust in some ways. And I would say that's another reason, though, why you're going to have to favor European teams over the Americans, because they're going to have a little harder time adjusting to that rink.
Is this because of soccer internationally? Why are there 2 standards usually? Like, could you imagine if the NFL went over to England for their annual Jacksonville games and they had to play on, like, at Wembley Arena on the soccer field, and it's just a wider field for no reason? Like, why? Why are we in this world?
Because it's their country, and they do have different rinks over there overseas, and it's up to them. The NHL does not rule that body. The IIHF is a completely different body than the NHL. They basically both hate each other, and I think the IIHF is going to do anything they can to sort of piss off the NHL too. I really do.
See, that's a good answer. That makes sense.
Yeah, I think it's true. They are not friends, let me tell you.
I think that'll do it for segment 3. We've got a big Olympic downer of a segment, so Daniel, play us out, and we'll come back with the mixed bag skate, Adrian. This is some kind of rapid-fire question and answer, fill-in-the-blanks type of stuff.
Bring it on.
I play hockey and I fornicate because those are the 2 most fun things in cold weather.
Welcome back to the Hockey Show. I don't know that we've ever had a more appropriate follow-up to that clip from Mystery Alaska than this, Adrian. I don't know how you could have not seen this if you have any online presence whatsoever. Kodak Black, a rapper, I guess. I don't know. I'm so out of touch. Was at the Florida Panthers game recently, and he was caught on camera. Adrian, was Kodak Black busting a move on the dance floor, or was he busting something else in the luxury box in Sunrise?
Well, first of all, this is a G-rated show, so I will refrain from commenting what I think he was doing, maybe. But all I know is the guy is a marketing genius. I had never heard of Kodak Black, nothing at all. Now I know who he is. And oh, by the way, the guy who runs a site on my network from Florida Hockey Now, George Richards, he was one of the first to post that. He was at the game. He got 500,000 clicks on that stupid thing. So it was good for business. I don't know what he was doing, but he got noticed, and isn't that what it's all about today, is getting eyeballs and noticing yourself? That's it, right?
I mean, you may not be welcome back at the arena, but you definitely leveraged some 15 seconds of internet fame there, some internet clout.
Isn't that that's all that matters, right?
These days anymore, I don't know. I was looking at introduction to TikTok type stuff yesterday, and I'm like, oh, apparently you could be a celebrity for having no talent whatsoever.
Oh, for sure. Their country's littered with millionaire people who do nothing but TikTok videos that are just stupid. But yeah, I'm 57, so that's what I'm supposed to say.
Maybe you're the next TikTok star, 57 years old.
I highly doubt that. If an old man snoring goes viral, then I maybe, yeah.
I think you should create the account, get off my lawn, and we'll start with your takes on the Olympics, the Olympic hockey tournament.
That's genius.
I want to cut some of the money, though. Listen, I'm an innovator. I'm an idea man. I got him.
That's genius. Let's do it. I'll accept to be my normal self.
Exactly. That's all it takes. Next one up. I think, and this is my bad, I don't know the name of the show, but Emily Kaplan and Linda Cohen have a show. I think it's The Point on ESPN, and they talked to John Carlson, and Emily asked John Carlson about Alex Ovechkin drinking soda on the bench. What are your thoughts about Ovi drinking soda during a hockey game on the bench?
I'd say everybody should drink soda then. Have you seen the guy's numbers this year?
That's what I'm saying. It must be working.
I mean, whatever. Let him drink what he wants. If he's scoring 50 goals again this year, he's going to break Gretzky's record probably. Yeah, let the man have his soda. That would be all I'd say. Yes, whatever you want, Ovi, as long as it's not spiked with, too much rum or something. And then again, even if it was, maybe that works fine too. But Ovi can do what Ovi wants at this point.
Yeah, it's definitely working. Carlson said he heard about like marathon runners or ultra marathon runners who use it to get their glucose level up. It's kind of similar to when I ran track in high school. People would take those honey stick shots, to the instant injection. I don't know if I could do it with just the carbonation and the burping and the whatever heartburn. Right. I mean, Ovi's not getting younger, so. Anyway.
I think Ovi works it off pretty well though when he goes out there right away. Ovi does what he wants, and it's working for him. So anybody who says he shouldn't do it, I don't think Ovi's going to care.
I'm going to butcher this name, but I believe Aisha Vishram became the first female to serve in any capacity behind an NHL bench when she filled in for COVID protocol as an athletic trainer for the LA Kings this week. I mean, what do you think about that? Is it why did it take so long for this to happen?
Well, I think it's great. First of all, I mean, I do. I mean, I think more women coming into the game is awesome, and it's only going to grow the game much more. I mean, I think that's the real route to growing the game is getting more women into it, and I think that's happening. And I thought it was great. I mean, I would say we're going to see, more female front office types and stuff like that. I believe the Kraken already have one. So it's great. We all evolve, and I know women are just as passionate about the game as many men are. Whatever, and I think it's awesome to see.
Well, we've seen Rachel Balkovech, I'm guessing on her last name too. I don't know why they got to have complicated last names for me. You'd think with hockey I'd be used to it. I'm doing my best. But she became the GM of a minor league baseball team associated with a major league baseball team, the first woman GM in that capacity. So we're starting to see progress.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's great. I just, I've watched women's hockey just get so much better, right? I mean, did anybody think that their level of play was not just elite when you see Canada, USA women's games the last bunch of years? I mean, it's compelling hockey, and they're so good. You couldn't say that back in the day. It just wasn't as developed. But it's amazing, and I'll be a big supporter of it. I really will. I think it's good in every single way.
I'd love to see the women's league grow and maybe get a team out here, something more out west for the Westies to look at. Adrian, I don't know how many second, third, fourth, 29th chances are enough, but it looks like Evander Kane may be getting another opportunity to come back to the NHL after having his contract terminated for traveling to Canada while COVID positive. What are your thoughts on Evander Kane potentially heading to the Oilers?
Well, listen, I'm a second chance guy or a third chance guy. I mean, I know what it's like to screw up and want second chances and get them and grateful for them. So I'm not as tisking about him as other people. That said, he's done some fairly serious things, at least allegedly. I don't understand why an NHL team might want all that attention on it with the Kane on it, because that's all the media is going to do is just make it about him for a while. That said, the guy, listen, there's always going to be a team. If you can put the puck in the net and be a good player like Kane is, there's always going to be someone who's going to take a chance on you. So Edmonton looks like that team. I know there's some hang-ups now again. He's got another thing going on where the league is investigating him. He really has, gotten in a lot of trouble. So, I believe in second chances and all for that, but he better be on the straight and narrow moving forward. That's all I can say, because if this stuff happens again, then, it's just the organization that gets him is going to be totally embarrassed.
I agree. I don't know. There's the on-ice talent and then the off-ice situations, and I don't know that Edmonton, a team that has just suddenly had the wheels fall off, I don't know if they need more distractions occurring, but maybe they rally around it.
Maybe it turns into one of those stories. He showed them, and the guy who got a second, third chance turns out to be a great find. You just don't know. I think that's why teams are always going to take a chance on that. You just could be just found money in some ways.
20 years from now, somebody will be making a movie about it, like that Kurt Warner movie coming out.
Could be.
Adrian, I'd like to take you back in time to Chicago 2017, the NHL entry draft. Nico Hischier goes first, Nolan Patrick goes second, Miro Heiskanen goes third, Cale Makar goes fourth. Flyers alum Bobby Clark recently said on the Cam and Strickland podcast that the scouting department in Philly wanted Cale Makar, but Ron Hextall wanted Nolan Patrick, and they went with Nolan Patrick. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I was stunned by that, but knowing the history of Bobby Clark, I shouldn't have been. I thought it was great, though, that he just said what was on his mind and doesn't care. He's 72 years old now and plays golf every single day in Florida, so I know he doesn't care what anybody, he says something and that's it. He doesn't care. Yeah, I believe it. Nolan Patrick was really not. at that time, I remember doing a lot of work for that draft too. I think I worked at Bleacher Report at the time, and I did a huge story on Nolan Patrick. And everybody I talked to for him was very sort of lukewarm about him. Well, I don't know if he's a first-round pick, but yeah, he's a good player. I'm like, well, that's not quite what I thought I'd hear. I thought this guy's a stud, but I didn't hear that. It's clear that the teams ahead of the Avalanche screwed up. Now, I know Heiskanen's been a good player for Dallas. Heiser, okay. Patrick's been kind of a bust. Cale Makar would be the undisputed first pick of that draft right now if we had to do it over again. And it's so funny that, everybody, including myself, was saying, oh, yeah, the poor Avalanche, they lost the lottery. Oh, my God. After a 48-point season, this. Well, they won the lottery, it turned out. Because Cale Makar is like the best player in the world right now. So, yeah, Bobby Clark, I don't blame him for saying that, and I believe it. I'm sure that he thought that the question, he dumped it all on Ron Hextall. He said Hexy made the choice and ignored our scouts, and boy, that was a thunderclap of a quote. So I'll be interested to see what happens moving forward between those two.
Listen, I know that the Avs had Makar high on their list. I would like to assume he probably gets picked first overall if the Avs do win the lottery in that situation. It's hard to look back with revisionist history. Obviously, he was I wouldn't even say diamond in the rough. He was just a diamond right out there on the table that somebody didn't notice. But I don't think you're disappointed if you get Miro Heiskanen. And according to Elliot Friedman, one of Philly's scouts clarified that it was Heiskanen they wanted over Patrick, not necessarily Cale Makar. But obviously, the way Makar's playing, who wouldn't want to have a do-over?
No, I didn't see that quote from the Flyers scout. Well, listen, Heiskanen's still a really good player. In fact, he probably outplayed Makar in the 2020 playoffs up in the bubble in Edmonton, where I was one of the 3 people in the stands watching that thing. It was an amazing experience. We'd take Cale right now, right? Cale has the arrow, or the social media arrow over Heiskanen and everybody else right now. Flyers screwed up there.
You hear it here first. The Colorado Avalanche, it's not even first, it's last, really. Undisputed first-round champions of the 2017 NHL Draft. Adrian, thanks for coming on. Talk to me offline if you need me to help set up your Get Off My Lawn TikTok. I'm ready to roll. I'm full of ideas. I'm jacked up on coffee on Saturday, so I've got all the ideas flowing.
I haven't had my first cup yet, and yet I know I feel highly energized for being on your show, Ryan. So thanks a lot, and I'm about to hit Dunkin' Donuts with a vengeance here myself.
There you go. Get me get a Boston cream filling donut for me in my honor.
Done.
All right. Thanks,
Done.
Adrian. Thanks for coming out.
Okay,
Thanks, Danny. Another epic show. This is the Hockey Show. You can find us on Saturdays on Mile High Sports Radio.